Instead you can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song.
Welcome to Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged with your host, Brain Fitzpatrick. Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged is a snapshot of the day-to-day experiences of disabled individuals as they navigate the world around us. We wish to shed light and open your eyes on a new perspective of people with disabilities. And by going unplugged, we can discuss viewpoints we hope will challenge our viewers' points of view. Most of us have disabilities we must live with, but what defines us is the way we deal with them. And now, here's your host, Brain Fitzpatrick.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to a new episode of Wheeling the Pathway to Life. Today we have a very special guest. He's a returning guest, Aaron Cable from New Life Community Fellowship, our associate pastor. Good afternoon, Aaron. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be on third time, I think, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for first time in studio.
Yeah.
First time in studio.
You were a little nervous about doing it in studio, but...
It was more, well, last time you tried to get me on studio, I didn't know you were trying to. I thought it was Zoom. And then you're like, oh yeah, meet me at the studio tomorrow. And I was like, I can't.
Okay.
So that's it. But yeah,
Okay.
We're here now. We're good to go.
Okay. And one of the things that New Life and the whole community in general, as far as the church models that we adhere to, it's all about missions and all about doing for others and having others giving them the gospel and helping them along the way in their walk with Jesus and stuff. And one of the ways we can do that is we can go into different areas and kind of meet people where they are, as far as where they are and what they need, not only spiritually but with a physical need in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I will strongly suggest, even though I can't go out in the mission field, this is definitely one of the ways that I can go out in the mission field, even without leaving leaving Pittsfield and stuff, because this show goes everywhere, shall we say. We go on Facebook, we go on YouTube, we're on, and based on my connections with the studio here, we've got, we do the services pre-taped on Sunday afternoons at 3:30 in the afternoon. And one of the things we're also doing next week is going to be a very busy week. Next week I got a training next week, and I got a show to do next week, and you and I and a whole bunch of us are doing Vacation Bible School next week. And that's very interesting. One of our big things is kids and giving them the gospel and showing them how much God loves them and how God gives us the tools to anybody at any age can get to know God and get to know Him in a positive way. Not everybody sees things the same way, but there are some differences between the core values. As long as the core values are the same, there's a lot that doesn't. You can help me out here. There's a lot that doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but a lot of it's.
Yeah, you're talking about like tertiary
Yeah.
issues. Yeah. That we can have disagreements on the secondary issues, but as long as we're centered on the core issues, then we can work together. Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah.
Okay.
The core issue is the core issues are the most important thing. And I know Aaron knows this, but there's a verse in the Bible where the title of the show came from. It's 25, verse 4 and 5. Show me your ways, O Lord. Show me your path. So what I'm saying is, God gives us paths, and what we choose, how we choose to interact with people is how they see us.
Mm-hmm.
So what we stand on is for and this will become more clear as we go, but a lot of people think, oh, you just gotta be good on a Sunday afternoon and go to church, and then some people say you can be good on a Sunday afternoon and then do whatever you want do whatever you want do whatever you want afterwards.
Yeah,
but
like checking off a box mentality.
Well, in reality, the way we believe, and I'm not saying everybody's gotta believe this way, we wish everybody would, but we're not, is the fact that what we do is the church is not the building. The church is the people in it. So how you act in the church is how you should act outside the church.
Yeah, you should be the same person within a church
Yeah.
that you are out the doors. Yeah. Otherwise, there's a disconnect, which is called hypocrisy.
Yeah,
we got a fancy word for that.
Hypocrisy, and it's called, it doesn't, it reflects as a hypocrite, and people don't trust hypocrites.
And they shouldn't.
No, but I mean, if you're gonna, the one thing you want to stay true to, in my opinion, is when you're discussing the Lord. I
Mm.
mean, I want to stay true to anything you talk about, but especially Jesus. And if you don't know the answers to everything, I mean, nobody ever will know the answers to everything. Like when I was born way back in 1976, ages ago, bicentennial year.
Yep.
We had no clue that I was gonna end up in jail.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I am the most non-disabled person that a disabled person could be. If that makes, I know it makes sense to you.
I get what you're saying. It hasn't kept you from doing what you want to do. It hasn't kept you from doing what you love to do.
Yeah, it's more. I don't think I'd be in the studio right now if I wasn't in there.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd meet the people that I met and be able to have conversations like I am right now with you and disability. The root word is disease, right? And if you're deceived about what you're doing, and you're not easy about what you're doing, maybe you should be doing it. I mean, it's something that, whether you believe in Jesus, it's something you should think about. If you're uncomfortable with something, maybe you should be thinking about what you're doing. I mean, there was many times when I was a rebellious teenager. Me and my sister would fight all the time because, she got to do more physical stuff than I did. She didn't have to go anywhere when she didn't want to go because she had people to watch her, and I had to go where my mother wanted me to go because if I didn't go, then she couldn't go because there was nobody to watch me. Now, what I'm getting to is now that I have the Lord, and now that I have an extended family, my relationship with the extended family is just as good as with my regular family, if not better.
That's good.
I mean, look at you. I got you on TV talking shit. And we were talking less than 24 hours ago about what are we going to be talking about?
That's, all that preparation.
And I think that preparation was only like 10 minutes. But what I'm getting to is when you look at things like caregiving and caring for people, you're not only caring for them physically, but you're also caring for them as a whole human being, as a whole, every aspect. I get people that call me and say, do you need groceries? Most average run-of-the-mill people that just stop and see me.
Yeah.
Don't ask me if you need groceries or you need me to go get something or, you know.
Right.
We can care about each other, but not care about some of the stuff that the quote unquote world would care about, you know. And I mean, we care about the stuff that the world cares about, as far as what's going on around us, so we can stay safe.
Mhm.
But we also know that this is not going to be where we end up.
Yeah, we know this isn't our home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
isn't our. We weren't created with the intention to die. That was never what we were created to do. This is never meant to be, oh, we just live here and then we perish and nothing else. We were created to live for eternity in the presence of God. That's why death seems so weird. That's why for Christians, this world feels different. This world feels alien because we are aliens. And so we realize, as Hebrews talks about that this isn't our home. And so we need to focus on the heavenly kingdom, focus on where we truly belong.
and don't worry about what you can do. Worry about what you can do. I mean, what you can do physically, and what you don't know how to do otherwise. You can either learn by somebody, by them just saying, hey, you want me to show you how to do that? Or God can put people in your path so that you're being shown by someone else, but God is the one showing you. I mean, God is preordained. It's just preordaining, preordaining somebody to show you how to do it. I mean, he's put somebody in your path to show you the way how to do things.
Yeah.
And, one of the ways he showed me it was an interesting story. 9/11 for me was a turning point because my mother was an asthmatic and still is. And a lot of times I laid in bed because I didn't want her to pick me up because I knew she was an asthmatic and at any point she could have an asthma attack. And so there were days when I would just stay in bed and watch TV and,
Yep.
do things. And my sister called me one day and she said, turn on the TV. And then all of a sudden,
Yep.
and one of the first thoughts was in my mind, if I don't get out of here now, as far as making a decision to move out of the house and go somewhere where my family didn't have to take care of me, I knew I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, it kind of gave you that initiative. It gave you that push that you needed.
Yeah. And that was 27. That was at the age of 27. I spent 2.5 years in the nursing home. And in 2002, I started going to New Life at Reed Middle School.
Oh, okay.
And that year I was baptized as Christian.
Did Jeff hold you under a little longer?
Yes. I don't know my parents. I'm joking when I say this, but I don't know if my parents paid them off to do it.
Yeah, I gave him $100 under the table there. Yeah.
But yeah, that is kind of where my life has been. There are still areas that I need to work on. We all have certain areas we need to work on in our lives. But the main thing is, if I let the world control how I was acting, I'd have every excuse to go back to the way I was and stay in bed all day, and I'd have every reason in the world to feel sorry for myself. I'm in a chair.
Yeah.
I do more in a day than any quote-unquote able-bodied person, sometimes any able-bodied person that I ever done. There is no question in my mind. Half the city of Pittsfield hasn't done half of the stuff I've done. Because no, I mean, being with as many challenges as I have had, I've never let it shut me down. And I know you and Jeff have been doing a series of you've been doing this series, and you've been doing.
Well, we just started a new series.
Yeah.
This past
You've been
week.
starting a new series, and you're actually preaching this coming
Yes, this
Sunday.
Yeah, we started our new series last week, Bold Faith.
Bold Faith.
Yeah, it's
Basically,
continuing Acts.
Bold faith is something most people, and obviously most of our listeners, probably, I dare to say, most of our listeners may or may not know, but sometimes you gotta step out in bold faith, like
Yeah.
you don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, there's a couple definitions of faith. Like you have, I think when most people think in general, they hear the word faith and it's just like a passing hope. Like, I hope that works out. I hope that goes, this happens. Whereas biblical faith, though, isn't just a random hope in anything. It's actually, if you look at it biblically, it's a for sure hope. It's a certain hope of something that's actually going to happen. And so you can't have a bold faith in just, well, I hope this happens, but you can have a bold faith in, I know this is going to happen. And so that's what we're looking at in this series. Is there's two different ways that can manifest. One is we're going to go through things in life that are hard, that are difficult, that are going to be big challenges, and we need a bold faith to get through that. It's going to take maybe stepping out on a limb, but also we need a bold faith in this world, because that's what's going to help show people who Jesus is when we do live differently, when we do stand out for living for Jesus, for loving like Jesus, for caring for people like Jesus. Though other people can look on, and that's going to stick out, so that they're going to want to know, who is this Jesus that they're following? And so both of those are different aspects that bold faith can be displayed for the believer, because ultimately every person, every human being is looking for something to believe in across the board. Even if they say they're not, it's like, no, you are, and it's probably yourself. If you can't identify it, you're believing in yourself. You're banking on yourself to get through. And so we all believe in something. And so our job here as believers is we want to live in a way where we have a confident hope in what's going to happen, so that can be put on display. so that people around us can say, wow, that person, they're not living with the anxiety that I see other people are living with. They're not living just moment to moment, like just trying to figure things out. They seem to have a surety. They seem to have a peace that we don't. And so that's what this is about.
And some people think, oh, you're not praying hard enough, so you're not praying hard enough, so you're not out of the chair yet. Well, maybe that's God using it as a tool.
Right.
As long as I'm here on earth.
And God's not one to be manipulated either.
No.
Prayer isn't meant for you to just be like, God, do this. And then if he doesn't do it, it's like, oh, darn it, I'm done with you. Like, that's not how how prayer works. He's bigger than that to be manipulated.
I'm being careful when I say this, and this may not be everybody's opinion, but the way I believe, and I dare say, you personally believe, that people are not the ones that can get me out of the chair. We can get me out of the chair physically as people, but we cannot just wish me out of a chair and say, okay, Brian, you're healed and everything's gonna be fine. But we've got that inevitable assurance. I won't even call hope. We've got an inevitable assurance that someday, when I leave this earth, I will be out of the chair.
Yep.
Because there's there's no more pain, there's no more, I mean, it's one of those freeing, and to get through life, you need to know at some level, okay, some level, this is all going to be over someday. This is all going to be over someday. So you get through that with a positive light, because you're thinking, okay.
Paul says that these temporary pains and struggles are nothing compared to the weight of glory in the future.
And nobody's going to have the same temporary pains, but some of my temporary pains may look horrible to you, horrible to somebody else, but
We all have
just know they're all temporary, and I mean, I've been in the hospital for some weird stuff, but
let's go into detail.
oh no, no, no,
We'll spare the people.
that would be completely medical, but if you don't know anything about me and you don't know about you don't know anything about me, and you don't know that I was, dare say, the biggest pain in the butt when I was a kid, and the biggest I don't know if it's self-serving or self-entitlement to say, I'm in a chair, take care of me, and do it the way
Like a woe is me kind of an attitude.
I mean, anybody was in my position. But when you know Jesus and know that when you're alone physically, like many years ago, I could never be alone without anybody in the house. But now that I know I have Jesus in the house, anytime there's something wrong, I look to him and say, okay, there's a mental aspect of, okay, what do I do now? But I have to stop and say, the old adage, okay, what would Jesus do? Jesus was no sacrifice that we can go through is as bad as Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. I mean, he was beaten, he was bludgeoned to death. I mean, it can't get any worse than this. But he died for us. And that is, if he can die for us, I can go through being in the chair.
Yep, perspective changer.
And that's, so basically today's show, and I'll let you say what you want to say on that, but I mean, as far as me, if I can do it, and Jesus can do everything that he's done, in my opinion, and again, this is only my opinion, and you can either take it or leave it, but there is nothing that you think it's the hugest problem in the world. It may be the hugest problem in the world, but nothing compared to what Jesus has been through. And yeah, you may end up in a hospital, you may end up with a physical ailment or illness, but you will get through it, either here or hopefully in heaven, but one way or another, it will be over. And suffering will end. And so anyway, before we run out of time, I can't believe we've been almost an hour now. Actually, we got a little less than a half hour left. Suffering will end, but so you get a taste of what we'll be doing next week. I'm gonna run the intro to Vacation Bible School, and we will be right back, folks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Switching command to internal.
Engines off. Opening main door. Wow! This is amazing. Look, over there. Let's go.
Jesus is the light of the world. Jesus is the light of the world. And he's here living in my heart. Even when the world goes dark, I can shine, shine, shine in the night. I can shine my light. I can shine my light.
Good afternoon, folks. We're back with Aaron Cable, and this is Brian Fitzpatrick with another episode of Wheeling the Pathway to Life. Aaron, we've said all that, and that's all well and good, but if I was talking to somebody that had no idea, and they just tuned in, what is, first of all, we'd really encourage people, not force them, but encourage them.
Can't force them.
Even though we wish we could. But how, to give them a real quick understanding of what we're trying to get to, how would you explain it if I was talking to someone on the street, even though I am basically good.
You are the guy on the screen.
No, talking on the street.
On the street.
As if someone came up and said, I noticed this about you. What's so different about you? Without going into, well, sit down for 2 hour discussion. I'll show you verses in the Bible.
Right.
How would you recommend that people begin the conversation?
We talk about a conversation in particular about who Jesus is and what I believe.
Who Jesus is and the perspective that I was referring to as far as
Like serving in the community
yeah.
and helping those who are in need.
Yeah.
My first thing wouldn't be typically to go into the Bible at all initially with someone. The reason being, most people don't know it, so I'm not going to go to something that they don't understand. Secondly, I know where you and I stand with the Bible, where we believe it's God's word, we believe it's inerrant, and so because of that, we live by it, whereas most people don't believe that. So just going to Scripture right away and saying, well, this is God's word, most people are going to be like, I don't believe that, so why am I going to hold to it? So I don't usually go there right away with people, but if we go like big picture, if I'm trying to give someone an explanation of what is it that we believe, what is it that we do, and why do we do it, if you look at the big picture of what the church is, of what our community is we are a body of believers, a group, people who are called out to God. We've seen God for who he is. We've given him our lives because of what he's done for us through Jesus. But now our main goal, first and foremost, is to know and love God, right? That's the job. That's our first and foremost job, is to know and love God. But then, as a result of that, because God is love, is now we are to love and serve those around us. That's the primary function of any church, or should be. And so then how we do that is going to be different depending on our context, depending on the community, depending on the people who we are serving. But we are going to try our best to show the love of Jesus through first of all, how we live our individual lives, through how we speak, through how we care for people. That's huge. But then also how we can come together as a church and a community to serve the people around.
Yeah, and as long as we serve the people in that context, that could vary a little bit as long as the core values are the same.
And the core values are who Jesus is.
Yep.
Right? We believe he's the Son of God. We believe he is God, 100% perfect. He came to die for our sins, and he rose again. That's core belief. We believe in the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So we're on that. But as far as like tertiary issues and stuff like that, about, some people may believe in, speaking in tongues, some may not. You'll have like some believe in, we're getting into some heady words here, predestination versus free will. Like, I'm not going to get in an argument over that kind of stuff with people, as long as we can agree on who Jesus is. But now how we can communicate this to people is different. And it should be. Paul says that. He says, I become all things to all people, that I may win some. He was willing to change his approach, to change how he served people in order to show them who Jesus is. And that's what we need to do. We need to know our community, know the people who God has put into our lives, understand who they are, what they respond to, and then we serve them accordingly. We be whatever we have to be for them outside of sinning, to show them who Jesus is.
And one thing we gotta be careful of, real quick, is if they don't respond, I know when to back off and say, okay, you're not gonna respond. We're not gonna sit there and browbeat you
Don't
until
be mean. Yeah, don't be rude.
browbeat you until you know.
Yeah, no Bible thumping.
But what people don't understand, and this is the most important thing, and you can agree with me or disagree with me, but how we act if we do it the right way, how we act with people is more pleasing to God than anything. I mean, that's more pleasing to God, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yep. He requires obedience, not sacrifice. So that's what he wants. He wants more of our obedience. He wants our heart more than us just, well, I read my Bible today. So, okay, but you were a jerk to someone. So that doesn't mean anything. God sees that as being like, no, you messed up. He wants us to be obedient. And what's obedience to God? He says, love God, love people.
The interesting thing is, and this is going to be a lot of quick throwing things together, but God knows what we're doing before we even do it. God knew what I was going to do before I even started the show. I mean, God knew what I was going to be doing before I was even born. I mean, physically.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's how you treat people, it's how you're gonna get, and the better you treat people, the better you're gonna feel. Because the more rewards you're gonna get, the more positive rewards you're gonna get, the more excited you're gonna be about doing things for Jesus Christ, because he's giving you positive feedback by putting positive people in your life.
Well, we know it's more blessed to give than it is to receive.
Yeah.
Right, we're told that in Scripture, and even taking the Bible out of it and religion out of it. I mean, there's studies that have been done in the past and recent that show there's a scientific proven correlation between those who live lives of philanthropy where they're giving back and those who don't, and they kind of just focus on themselves, and then they show the rates of depression and happiness, and it's always on the side of those who give more that show more fulfillment in life and that they're happier overall than those who live more for themselves. So even if you just remove the Bible from the equation, you can see there's a reality in place that those who live to care for others and not just for themselves live happier, more fulfilling lives.
And just to wrap up, we can do that and have fun doing it too. As you can attest to in what we're doing next week and the kind of games the kind of camaraderie and the kind of fun things church does not have to be humdrum going on a Sunday and just, go through service and...
Yeah, that's a club, that's not a church.
Yeah. Because the church is the human beings in the church and how we react, how we interact with each other, and how we interact with believers is in some ways as important in some cases is more important.
Well, I would say how believers treat each other is
Okay.
even more important than how we even treat people outside. Not saying that people outside the church aren't, but we're still called to love them and to care for them. But there's definitely an emphasis you see that Jesus talks about us caring for our own because the world's watching us. And if they see us not caring for our own people, they're going to be like, man, I don't want to be a part of that. They're just like everyone else. But if they can see a community and a church of people of all different age ranges, different races, different socioeconomic status, different beginnings, all coming together, in any other capacity in the world, that's not going to work. But because of Jesus, we're able to be unified. And if the world sees that, wow, they care for their own, even amidst all their differences, and they see that kind of a life, and they see that kind of a system, of an organization, that stands out. And so through how we love each other, then displays a love to the rest of the world that says, I want that. How do they do that?
Now, real quick, there's a difference between getting a group of us together and going into a dangerous area and helping people. You gotta be careful, don't put yourself in danger, but we are called to help other people that are less fortunate than us. And we are called to do it in a safe way, and we are called to do it in a loving way, not say, you're messing up, why are you doing this way, you gotta understand why they're doing it that way, but you also gotta be careful while you're doing it. That you're not putting yourself in a dangerous situation. But
Sometimes, what do you say then about the missionaries who got killed for doing what they do? They were in dangerous situations.
No.
But they were also being obedient. So it's gonna and you look at examples in the Bible.
Yeah.
What Moses did was dangerous. What Joshua did was dangerous. So the safest place you can be is in God's will for your life.
And let's face it, to spin off of that, and I don't mean to be morbid, but we're all gonna die anyway, so that's inevitable. So when you think about it, don't you want to die for Jesus?
Yeah, it's one of those questions on when it comes to the end, when it comes to, you're about to check out, would you have rather lived a life that was just focused on yourself, that's focused on getting the toys, getting the fame, getting the power, getting the prestige, and then you get to the end and it's like, is that it? Or would you rather live the life that live for others, you were investing in others, you were caring for others, you were living for a purpose greater than yourself, you were living for Jesus and living and being obedient to Him and for others. So when you're at the end, what would you rather have? Would you want to know, wow, I wasted my life on myself, or wow, I lived for the greatest purpose ever, and now I get to go spend eternity with Him? And that's the question we all have to come to. Even if, say we're wrong, right? Say we're wrong about Jesus, we're wrong about the Bible. At the end of the day, if I'm wrong, I lived a life where I care about other people. I live a life where I was an amazing husband as best I can to my wife, a great dad to my kids. I took care of others, I invested in others. And even if I'm wrong about who Jesus is, I can die knowing I lived a life that I gave back. As opposed to if I live a life, I just want money, I just want to get mine, and then, okay, that's it. I'd rather live a life knowing that I impacted others.
And in actuality, I'd rather live a life where my parents were going to love me for this one, but if I see somebody about to get run over by a car and I can take their place, I'd rather take their place than...
Of the driver?
Yeah, no, of the person other person getting run over versus the
Yes, versus the person who's getting
yeah.
run over.
Yeah. And real quick, one of the things that my staff don't understand, and I understand it as far as the state's concerned, but one of the statements I already made, one of the statements I've made to them is, if there's a chance that I can't get out during a fire,
Yeah.
save yourself,
Mm.
because I know where I'm going.
That's a confidence from the hope that you have.
And the other thing is, I wouldn't want to die knowing that I took somebody away from their kids, trying to save me for something physically they aren't able to do in the time
Yeah.
that
That's deep.
in the time they have for getting me out. I'd rather risk waiting for the fire department and know that if they don't make it, I'm going to heaven, versus whether I risk somebody else's life and I wind up going to heaven anyway.
Yeah.
It's not, either way I'm going to heaven, but we want other people to be able to go through. And we want other people to be around for the kids. We want other people to tell other people about what we're talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
And if they die earlier than what they're supposed to, because they're trying to be a hero and trying to save somebody, I would feel like that's taking away from somebody else's opportunity to reach other people. What do you think?
You said, like, especially speaking of your staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should never put other people in danger or at risk for it. Definitely, we need to watch out for them. As far as ourselves personally, I can't say that God's not going to call me or some other person or maybe even you to go into a dangerous situation, because He will. But that's more if that's for yourself. It should never be us putting other people at risk. We need to make sure that we're doing the opposite of that we're taking care of others. I agree with that.
It may look weird to the state. It may seem weird to the state as far as me saying, okay, I want to die before myself, but that's just an educational thing on their part, because they don't understand where I'm coming from.
Exactly. They don't have your perspective.
Or they don't have God's perspective in some way or shape or form. But I think this has been one heck of a show, and again, like I say with Jeff all the time, how can people get a hold of you?
Get a hold of me?
Yeah, get a hold of you, or
I'm
get
not
a
giving you my number.
get a hold of the church.
No, you can get a hold of the church. There's a couple ways that you can. I mean, we do have our website, newlifeberkshires.com.
Yeah.
If you go on there, you'll see our address where we're located. You also have an email where you can send us an email there. If you have a prayer request, you can go on. We do have a New Life prayer page. It was actually just a couple months ago that we launched that, where you can text in a prayer, or you can just send one in through the chat box, and we'll reach out to you and pray for you, whatever it is that you have going on. So you can go there. If you want to know any events that we have going on, it's also on our website. We have a page called The Loop, where the reason we have it called that is because we'll keep you in the loop of what's going on. So any events are on there, all times, sign-up sheets, etc., and information you can find all through our website, as well as you can find through our website to our text communication, where you can send a text anytime, and then either myself or Pastor Jeff will reach out to you for anything that you need. So it's one of the so the website's the way to go. You go there, you'll find a myriad of ways that you can get in contact with us.
And we have services 1 at 9 and 1 at
Every Sunday, 9 and 11 a.m.
9 and 11 a.m.
And 11 a.m. we have Children's Church. So if you have a family, you have young kids, bring them to the 11 o'clock. The 9 a.m. you're welcome to come. We just won't have Children's Church for them, and so they'll sit in the service with you. But yep, 9 and 11.
Yeah. And we also encourage any. We have what we call welcome table, where we can give information right there, both online and.
We have a connection cards that either in person you can fill out or online at newlifeberkshires.com/connect. You can fill out an online connect card and inquire about whatever it is you want. We have multiple options on there, and we'll get back to you with all that information.
Folks, real quick before I
Kick me out.
Close, as I was telling Aaron, we're about to make a big transition in the next week or so. We are just moving down the hallway in the studio here. We are going to the main studio, which is Studio A, where we can do more in-depth stuff and give you more content that we can't do in the middle of a kitchen studio setting. So it may be the show may be a little sporadic, and I'm still debating on whether we're doing 1 hour show next week or one time only 2 hour show next week, because we're going to be off on the 20th due to some stuff going on in the studio. And then we got, in August, we've got Thursday on the 17th of August. That'll be very interesting, and more information to come on that. You can get a hold of me at Wheeling the Pathway of Life at gmail.com. Give me any feedback or give me any information, either for Pastor Aaron or any guest on the show. That's Wheeling the Pathway of Life. Wheeling the Pathway of Life at gmail.com. I appreciate your patience and your cooperation with us during this transition. I will be back with you soon, possibly next week for 1 hour or possibly 2 hours. But it was a great hour, and I think we tackled a lot. And I'll be glad to have you back.
Yeah, I'll be back again at some point, I'm sure.
Yes. Next time I'll try to get you both on at the same time.
Oh man, that'll be a party. Me and
yeah. But this has been Wheeling the Pathway to Life. Have a good afternoon, folks.
You can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song. 'Cause when the Spirit's moving, His will be done. You can bury the workman, but the work will go